Uh, I
Audio on, it picks it up. Like, I just turned the audio on real quick.
The problem is that in the past, Hello, everybody. We're gonna get started in about 5 minutes. Thank you. I'm gonna cry. Who's stop crying? Who's stop crying? You stop crying, kitty cat? You gonna stop? You stop and go be a good kitty?
All right. Oh, Danny's here. Good evening, everybody. We're gonna get this meeting started. As usual, we like to give people some time to get settled, 5 minutes. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna call this meeting at 6:35 p.m. Welcome, everybody. Hello, Danny. Get settled. Welcome to the Community Board 12 Parks and Cultural Affairs Committee meeting, which always happens on the second Tuesday of every month. My name is Luana Ferreira, and I welcome you as your chair. I hope everybody can hear me. Daryl is here. Unfortunately, we have a number of board members absent, and I cannot chair and conduct and take minutes at the same time. So we have the majority of our committee joining remotely, but luckily we don't have any resolutions. So therefore, though we don't have quorum, we don't have resolutions to pass. That said, I don't have any immediate reports, except that the ribbon cutting ceremony at the Dyckman Playground was a huge success. So thank you all for attending. Unfortunately, responsibilities within my full-time job did not allow for me to attend.
Oh, that's good. It was super cute.
Thank you. Thank you, Danny.
Barbara got to talk too.
Of course, well, that's Barbara's project.
Yeah.
So I thank everybody who was proactive in participating. Unless anybody else from the committee has a report or anything else to share, we can move it right along with our programming report. Yeah.
Who from the committee is online?
Tracy, Crystal,
Barbara.
no, I don't see Barbara.
Okay.
Also, oh, wait, Bob Barnett is also from New York.
Harlem River.
Yeah, Harlem River. Yeah, Harlem River. Let me put him to canvas. Okay. Okay, then. And Stephanie
still have my
Gabon.
Oh,
Because I'm like reporting it, like racing up over here.
Okay, so once everybody's done with their programming updates, I'm going to move you back to attendees, but we'll give you permission to speak. We have a lot of people joining in, reporting on programming events happening in our community. With that said, I'm going to, and please keep your programming updates to 2 minutes. Even though it's 2 minutes, when it accumulates, it does take up a chunk of our time. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Danny will be the timekeeper for that. We also have 3 presentations in addition to reports from parks. Reports from parks usually comes after our programming update. So we're still trying to finesse our agenda because Partners with City Agents always precedes presentations. So we're going to move item 5 as item 3 and then continue with the presentations followed by old and new business and then adjourn meeting. So with that said, I'm going to have the Harlem River Sailing Club. I got that right? I always community row. I'm so sorry. Rowing. I get all of the water events so confused. So, but thank you for your patience, Joy and Bob. You have 2 minutes to do program updates.
Okay, there's not really a lot to say because we don't do much in the winter. We are in process of trying to move things ahead on the water safety stuff with Coast Guard and DOT and other agencies, but that's sort of a slow process. And we will be back on the water in April. We're sort of making plans, when we'll be down there to make sure our boats are all okay and then actually get out on the water, hopefully by about second weekend in April. looking forward to it. And the only other thing, and this is kind of at Jana's in this initiation, Jana Lesort, whom I don't see here yet, but I'm sure she's here somewhere, is that all of those water groups that people confuse, us and Inwood Canoe and Hudson River Community Sailing, I confuse them too, and Row New York, and Restoration, New York Restoration Project, which isn't an on-water group, but we're all sort of talking about collaborating on a City of Water Day event. So maybe that will all happen in July. And if anybody is interested when spring starts in coming out in our launch and seeing what we do, you are welcome to send us an email. If you're interested in learning how to row, send us an email. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joy. Bob, did you want to add? I know Bob Barnett is online also, who's your partner.
He's invisible, so.
No, I think Joy has covered everything. We're currently doing some off-water training for people that have rowed with us in the past, so that we're able to maintain skill level and kind of keep the coherence and the sense of camaraderie that really makes us kind of unique in terms of our community of rowers. And I think that's of some note, and that's it. And thank you for giving us this time.
Thank you so much for always joining us. You have, Danny, you have a question.
I wonder if you could do like other collaborations with like other people that's like doing events on Earth Day. I wonder if that like falls in the privy of Earth Day, right? Manpower, people vote for the site.
We were out last year on Earth Day. I don't think we collaborated quite with anybody else. We did do a lot of talking to Inwood Canoe about it. We were doing stuff on Earth Day. If there's people who want to collaborate on doing something on Earth Day, yeah, we're up for it.
I know like DOT, they closed down all the streets, but your station is not on the Harlem, no, it is in the Hudson River side. So that would have been super cool. Like all the rowboats they got together La Marina, you know.
We were actually at Isham Park giving out information about stuff and talking to people last year on Earth Day, or right around Earth Day. So
Nice.
probably do that again.
Okay. He's mentioning, cool.
Thank you so much. I just want to make an announcement to Community Board member Wayne Benjamin. You have to accept becoming a panelist. You asked me, you need to accept. If there's anybody else that needs to be promoted to a panelist to do a quick programming present update, please let me know in the chat and I will gladly do so. Otherwise, I can also give you permission to speak if you raise your hand. All right, and also please no private chats. All your questions should be addressed in the Q&A because this is a matter of public record. All right, there is a question. All right, I see a hand up. Let's see, sorry. Who?
Got it.
Oh, Kaya. Oh, there it is. I wasn't even seeing the little hand. Kaya, yes, you have a question.
Hi, Luana. Joy, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that that your group was one of our tablers at the Friends of Inwood Hill Park Earth Day Festival that we had. I don't think it was Isham Park. I think it was Inwood Hill Park. So kind of springboarding off of this, but we are looking for more partner organizations. So we're hoping to welcome you and hopefully some of the other people here back. So
I didn't realize that spot wasn't Isham Park's across the street from there, though, isn't it?
exactly. Yeah. It's all in the family.
Look at that.
Yes, we're interested.
All right. Thank you for that. We have Stephanie Caban, Riverside Park.
Hi, everyone. Stephanie Caban. I am the North Park Outreach Coordinator for Riverside Park. So my work is in volunteerism and engagement from 120th Street to the Little Red Lighthouse in Fort Washington Park at 181st Street. I just have 2 announcements today. Let me pull it up. Summer sports camp registration is open and live. So we do have a summer sports camp in Fort Washington Park from July 14th to August 15th. Sports included are baseball, basketball, flag football, soccer, tennis, and volleyball. Information about that is on our website. I can also drop my email in the chat for anybody who's interested. And then I have a more of a question, or if anybody wants to reach out, it's something I talked about in Community Board 9 as well. But something I've shared with our community members and with our volunteers is knowing your rights in public spaces. Just hearing a lot on the news about ICE and ICE agents, and not sure if anybody has seen ICE in public spaces like parks. But curious to know if there are any parks on this call who want to reach out offline about how to message the community about ICE or knowing your rights in public spaces, or how we promote our public programming in the summer, or how we are promoting our summer camp, right? There is a lot of fear in our communities. So yeah, curious if anybody has started talking about that amongst their own staff in parks. And again, I will put my email in the chat.
So I know that Mark Levine has been promoting Know Your Rights workshops. I know that also, I believe Carmen de la Rosa has something planned. That one I'm not sure, but I know that I got an email from the borough president about Know Your Rights. So there has been a lot of outreach with regards to this. And also, Daryl, did you have anything else to say?
Yeah, just around that too. Maybe Moya, I don't know if you've partnered with the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs. They have some new information on their website that is helpful. Yeah.
And also
I saw that they had virtual workshops, which I know is really helpful for people who don't want to like be out right now. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, then.
Thank you for that.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to, let me see who's on my list here. I'm going to continue. How about with Kaya Samorcas? Friends of Inwood Hill Park.
Yes. Can everyone hear and see me okay?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Happy February. It's cold. It's gross. We are still getting ready for our 10th annual, I can't believe it's been 10 years, Earth Day Festival. As I mentioned, we are going to have partner organizations who will be tabling. So we hope to see a number of people. There will be a call for interested organizations or volunteer groups. We're not picky about what your legal status is, to come in and work with us. So we've already got a really nice panel lined up, and I'm very pleased to say that we've confirmed the People's Theater Project, which is on Uptown. I think it's the largest Latino owned and operated theater project, and that's going to be kind of one of our spotlight presenters. So we're really excited to work with them. We have our usual kind of 3 prongs of Earth Day, which is stewardship, education, and arts. And the focus for the People's Theater Project performance is going to be immigration this year. So we're really excited to be welcoming them again as a partner. We will be submitting a request to do a full presentation for March. So not much to say right now, but next month we will have plenty for you. And we're really excited to get the feedback from this committee and hopefully some in-person feedback from anyone in attendance. We've submitted some grants. We're excited to get started for the spring. There will be a meeting coming up. Flyers will be around. Thank you so much.
What day is the event?
What day is the event, Kaya?
Our first stewardship event will be March 1st. It's going to, so easy, Saturday, March 1st, from 10 to 12. It's going to be a street tree care event. So it's very accessible. Anyone can do, you know, if you can lift a shovel, you can take care of a street tree. So it's really open to everyone. We're meeting at Broadway and 211th Street, right next to the bakery Chalk. We're actually hoping to get them donate some cookies. And this will be shared in our kind of public facing social media and in our email blast, which is going to be coming out tomorrow. So we like to time these things nicely. And then the Earth Day event will be April 26th. So the last Saturday of April.
April 26th. Thank you so much for that, Kaya. I want to let you know that I went to the Inwood Nature Center with my niece and we had a blast. I know it's not directly related to the Friends of Inwood Hill Park, but you know, you're part of it and it's in the park. So
I had a good time.
Oh yeah. I want to encourage everybody to take your little ones. It is a very neat, interactive learning space. The Nature Center in Inwood Hill Park.
Inwood Nature Center. It's open from 10 to 3 on the weekend, so it's great for kids.
And Sunday.
Yeah. Saturday and they have giant stick insects that are like this long, and they'll let you, if you ask, they'll let you take them out of the cage and walk up your arm really slowly.
No, I've had.
Or not.
I grew up in the Caribbean with gigantic locusts and moths and all of that. No, thank you.
I think
Okay.
Joy has
Yeah, I know, I see it. Joy,
Now, Kaya, I just wanted to make sure that our email address is on your big list so that we'll
You're on
get.
the list. Yes. Thank you so much. And we do actually, I should send this out. We do have a new email. We sort of migrated everyone. Previously, we had a Gmail account. Now we have our own domain. Very exciting. So if you need anything from any of us, you can just reach us at info@inwoodhillpark.org, and I can put that in the chat if that is okay with you, Luana.
make sure that the chat is open to everybody. Do not send any emails or chats privately. I know, Stephanie, you sent it, you sent your email privately. I don't know if that was intended, but anything having to do with information and sharing information, it has to be done publicly. So that is, let's see, I see some new names, but I'm not quite sure your organization. So if you can just indicate that you wish to do a programming update, please do so in the chat, and I will grant you, or we will grant you 2 minutes. But right now, if I don't see that, let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, okay, so. All right. Thank you, Noemi. Is there a way that, is the function that you can only email to host and panelists, or because I keep seeing, yes, Korea Art Forum, yes, you do have your dedicated agenda item for your individual presentation. Thank you. Okay, so, all right. So let's see, I have here, I have the initials. I don't know why this is, I'm so sorry. Technology and all of that accessibility, huge print that cuts off names. Kyle Jeremiah. Melissa, you have your individual item, so in the agenda. If you didn't receive the agenda, I'm just talking about the 2 minutes programming. Oh, but do you want to do programming also, Melissa? Okay, Melissa, go. Melissa Kivet from the Dyckman Farmhouse.
Yes, so sorry. I'm Melissa Kiewit from the Dyckman Farmhouse Museum. I just wanted to let you all know about our biannual Talking About Race Matters lecture series that we do it twice a year. We do it every year in February and in August. We had one session last week, which you can find on our YouTube. But we have another session tomorrow at noon. And it's going to be about the Harlem African Burial Ground. So I think that will be super interesting. And you can find the link to that. It is virtual. So you can find the link to that at dyckmanfarmhouse.org/events. And then on Wednesday, the 26th, we'll present another session about envisioning Seneca Village, which I think will also be really interesting. So please feel free to check that out and join. And that's all I have.
And we will be hearing again from Melissa on a presentation, but I think it's very important, Melissa, this programming, because of course we are in the middle of Black History Month, but with all of these programming updates relating to the burial grounds, it's sort of like debunks the myth that the North was exempt from engaging in slavery practices. So thank you for that. I have somebody, okay, so I have somebody by the name of who asked to speak for programming updates. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna go, Ariana, do you have a programming update or a question? Ariana
Hi,
Rodriguez?
greetings, everyone. I just wanted to introduce myself as an organization. Is that okay, or?
Absolutely, go for it.
Okay, can you see me? Wait, I don't see the video option because I do want to give you a face to my name.
Hold on, I'm gonna promote you to panelist.
Okay, oh, I see. Hi, everyone. Thank you.
Can't see her.
Shoot, go to that arrow.
Okay, let's see. Well, that's on that computer. That's why.
Oh.
That is projecting that computer. All right, go
They
ahead.
should be able to see her.
Okay, they should be able to see her. I don't see her. Okay, go for it.
Hi, greetings everyone. I'm Ariana Rodriguez and I am the community liaison from NYC Kids Fest. We have a festival in Harlem. This year's our 20th year, but just the last 2 years we've been doing an event in Audubon, on the Audubon Triangle for Earth Day. So we'll have that coming up, and we'd like to share in the future as a panelist on the programming that we're doing, and also to collaborate with the other partners that are in this meeting.
Well, welcome.
Thank you
so much. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and I see Kyle Jeremiah.
Hey everyone, I'm Kyle Jeremiah, the Director of External Affairs for BRC. I'm actually here with Melissa and Peggy King Yorda. As you know, BRC is the developer of the women's shelter in Inwood, which is also going to house the sacred space.
Fantastic. So you're going to be presenting with Melissa, yes?
I'll be here to clarify any questions you guys have about the shelter. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, that said, we have Jamila Sandoval from Council Member De La Rosa's office. Hello, Jamila.
Where are Jamila?
Where is she?
I'm here.
There you go. There she is.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. I was just writing on the chat that I'm here to listen and take notes, but I'm in a place that I can't be on audio. I'm having dinner, multitasking here, with a family member. But I am here to answer questions via text or chat.
Thank you so much. Also in the Q&A, we have Caio Carneiro from the New York Restoration Project. Thank you so much for putting your information in the question and answer. Caio, would you like to address the team and maybe give us a programming update?
Yeah, but I'm here. So
oh, you're here. Oh, my goodness. Hi, Caio. How are you? It's good to have you. He's here. So please.
Okay, so yeah, I just shared the link. We have the community garden in Sherman Creek Park. It's a public space next to the PS5. If you don't know the place, just go on Dyckman until you meet the 10th Avenue. On that corner, there is the PS5. Behind the PS5 is the Sherman Creek Park. And in the garden, we have the urban agriculture team. They have some activities. It's volunteering for free. We just asked for anyone interested to sign up because it's better for us to organize and prepare to host everyone. And the links is shared in the group, so you're more than welcome. And also, I'd like to invite everyone who want to use our conference room. It's for free too, on nyrp.org. You can find there, and you can email to request to use. It's a good space and also available for the community.
Thank you so much, Caio, and thank you so much for putting it in the Q&A. All of this information is in the Q&A, which I'm going to keep open. I'm not going to answer it so that you see it. Thank you so much. Okay, if I don't have anybody else wishing to provide a 2-minute programming update, I'm going to move to parks with capital improvement updates with Chris Hyman, who joins us in person.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Chris.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Hyman. I'm the Deputy Administrator for Northern Manhattan Parks. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Thanks for being here in person. All right, I'll try to be quick. So just to reiterate, thank you to everyone who made it out to the Dyckman Rest ribbon cutting. It was a really nice event. We even had some sunshine and we weren't, freezing too badly. And a lot of people came out. So it was really wonderful to see, all folks from NYCHA came out. The dog run was busy, dogs barking, and so it was great. Our next ribbon cutting and the date is still to be determined, but we'll share that as soon as we know. It's for Bennett Park, of course, getting really good views, the new central lawn there. We do, of of course, would like to remind patrons that dogs off leash continues to be not allowed anywhere in the park. So our pet team continues to address that issue. They are not allowed off leash anytime, any place in the park, and we appreciate everybody's consideration in that regard. Moving on, just on capital side, the Quisqueya restrooms are about 95% complete. That's a full reconstruction of the restrooms in Park House at Quisqueya in Highbridge Park. And the anticipated completion some point in spring 25. The weather is kind of setting a lot of the projects back a little bit, all this snow. Down the hill, the Monsignor Kett restrooms are about 93% of the project time has elapsed, so we're getting close, and about 85% of the work is complete. The building is up, it's looking amazing, and anticipated completion date, we are still looking at spring 2020, spring of this year, so a couple months to go. Dyckman Fields, the soccer field reconstruction, we're about halfway through the project time, and about 40% of the work is complete. Again, we're in the winter, so we lost some time to, so they'll be able to catch up in the spring. And the anticipated opening is mid to late summer of this year. So that's moving along really nicely. And then now we're moving into projects that are kind of coming down the pipe. So Lily Brown Playground reconstruction, just a couple blocks to the west of here in Fort Washington. Our tentative start date. So this is where a contractor arrives, starts putting up the construction fence, is March 3rd. And so it's going to be two new play areas, two new playground areas, new seating, picnic areas, and an ADA ramp that goes from Upper Riverside down to the playground. So that's going to start in a couple weeks. The Inwood ball fields 1, 2, and 4, their reconstruction. The tentative start date now is March 7th. And that includes lighting for field 1, new ADA ramp access, and restoration of the Art Deco bleachers on close to the Isham entrance there. Inwood Hill Ball Field 6, that's out on the peninsula by the Nature Center. That is in the design phase right now, and we'll be in design phase for I think the next year or so. And then very close to home right here for Community Board 12, right around the corner, McKenna Square is going to be undergoing a renovation through the Community Parks Initiative. And that design process is going to start with like a community input session in mid-March. We were hoping to do it this month, and it sounds like some point mid-March, at the very least, going to be like a Zoom community input session. So when we're able to share that date, which we should know shortly, we'll share with Community Board 12 so they can be put out to the broader community. So that's all I have on the capital side. On the event side of things, coming up this Saturday in Inwood Hill Park, our stewardship team is doing Inwood Hill Park Forest Restoration. These forest restoration days tend to fill up. But sometimes they have some no-shows. So if you're still interested, you go to stewardship registration at nycparks.gov and you can sign up for the wait list. Right now it's full, but that is 10 a.m. to noon, Seaman and Isham. And then to reiterate and just kind of give a bump to what Kai mentioned already is the Inwood Street Tree Care on March 1st. So you can also register that stewardship registration at nycparks.gov. On Wednesday, March 12th, NYC Parks is hosting a job fair. So we did one last year at Highbridge Rec Center. It was hugely successful. Hundreds of people came out. You can talk with current and active NYC Parks staff, and it's just open to the public and learn about jobs kind of from the ground level on up. That's Wednesday, March 12th, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Highbridge Rec Center. No registration or anything like that is necessary.
Just show up.
Just show up.
What time is that again?
11 to 4. 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
And is this just for jobs for parks or
Correct.
citywide parks?
For all of New York City parks, yeah.
All of New
For the
York City
whole
parks.
city.
So it's a
Yeah.
parks, it's a New York City
Yes.
parks job fair,
Correct.
not a New York City, only parks. That's
Right.
fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
And is this like just like full-time jobs, or is this for the summer specific jobs?
It runs the gamut.
Okay.
Full-time plus seasonal opportunities.
Oh.
Yeah,
March 12th, you said, right?
March 12th, yep.
So is it Highbridge Rec Center?
Correct, the Highbridge Rec Center.
Thank you, correct.
Yeah.
Please ask your questions in the Q&A. Thank you.
2 more dates. On Saturday, March 22nd, we have a guided birding and nature walk in Fort Tryon Park, hosted by the Fort Tryon Park Trust. You can sign up at forttryonparktrust.org, and that is Saturday, March 22nd, 2 to 3 p.m. We meet at Margaret Corbin Circle. And then lastly, and we have an April date to be determined, so we'll share that certainly by next month, is the 2nd annual Northern Manhattan Earth Day Festival. You know, we're catching up to Friends of Inwood Hill Park, has been doing it for 10 years, but we're excited to expand Earth Day activities beyond just Inwood Hill and also in Fort Tryon and Highbridge Parks too. So we're kind of trying to grow that activity for the 2nd year running now. And last 2 things, volunteer opportunities. Bennett Park Stewards, which is a relatively new but very robust volunteer group in Bennett Park. They had their last Sunday's volunteer workday was snowed out, so that is being rescheduled, or at least the next one is Sunday, March 2nd from 9 to 11 a.m. They meet up at the multi-purpose play area where the game tables are on the east side. And you can email bennettparkstewards@gmail.com with any questions, or you can just show up. And then lastly, just for broader volunteer opportunities with parks, we've presented on this before, but please do visit Volunteer with NYC Parks. Our Let's Green initiative can connect you with volunteer groups such as Friends of Inwood Hill Park or the Bennett Park Stewards, but you can also search by park or activity. So, you know, take a look at Let's Green NYC. And then lastly, and I can log on and put it into the chat too. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Jana Lasort, who's the Northern Manhattan Parks Administrator, who she and I tag team the community board meeting. So she'll be on next month, and I'm the Deputy Administrator. So Jana is jana.lasort@parks.nyc.gov, and I'm Christopher Hyman, and so on. And I'll drop that into the chat so everybody has it.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
That's all I
That would be
have.
great.
Was there any questions? Oh, sorry, I do have one last thing. I have a handout, and let me see if I can drop this document into the chat too. This is just information that Parks and the Department of Health have been sharing about the avian flu outbreak.
Thank you.
Because there have been some instances, certainly we know in the Queen Zoo, Central Park, about, you know, dead and dying birds, unfortunately. So I have a handout here. I can share that. I won't go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's quite informative. And
Yeah.
you know, if
I
there's
think
time
what-
later on, I can answer questions about that.
I think Kaya has a question, but before I call on her, I think that flyer would be useful for Health and Human Services, the Health Committee. Is it Health and
Health
Human
and
Ser-
environment.
Health and Environment, yeah, Human Services, Housing and Human Services, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can also forward that document maybe to the office, and then it could be distributed to all of the committees.
Perfect.
Okay, because of course, aging would be interested in learning, so not just, but thank you for that. Kaya, you had a question?
Hi, Chris. I had a question about the McKenna Square redesign. It might be unrelated, and if I'm barking up the wrong tree, just let me know. There is I guess I would call it a triangle of land on 163rd Street and what is that, Amsterdam Avenue? Luana, do you know what I'm talking? And it's been fenced in for years.
Yes.
It's
you got Tracy. I know what you're talking about.
Tracy knows what I'm talking about.
I just passed it today.
Yeah, I know. It's a green street. Is
it?
Yeah. It's an unnamed green street. It needs some attention. We paid some attention to it in the past.
So wait, it's a natural park?
No, I think you guys are confusing two parts. Kaya, you're talking about the fenced-in area, correct?
Yes, I'm talking about the fenced-in area.
So the fence.
I don't think that's you.
One at a time.
it's a private,
Yeah.
a private lot,
Yeah,
owned by like this like millionaire.
On the north side of the intersection. The
Yeah,
one on the south side
we
is
talk,
DOT.
we talk about this in land use a lot.
Yeah, I'm talking about the north side. So what is it a park? It's private?
It's privately owned by by millionaires.
Well, yeah, okay. And what's
And
the
that-
Can't do anything
and-
about it,
and-
Kaya. It's
Yeah.
private property.
Yeah, it's like,
Ah,
we spoke about this, like talking about like maybe getting parks involved in this whole situation, but it's like if you own land, they have to just upkeep it to the best extent, you know, so we can't do much about it, or we could like find the guy, email him like, hey, what's up with this, like hand over the land, you know, but
It's the former Rite Aid site. It's owned by Mr. Casamasides, and the community board passed a resolution twice asking for the property owner and the city of New York to look at redeveloping that site. But it is private property, yes.
gotcha. Okay, thank you so
And
much.
the
Chris.
bane of
Also-
my existence, the literal bane.
The only thing I can think of, and I'm happy to have Wayne here, who is the chair of land use. The only incentive that I can think about is applying for a brownfield opportunity area grant through the state, which is dedicated funding from the state to develop areas that are deemed eyesores for communities. It's called the BOA. It's called BOA, and I learned about this when I was working in state government. So I don't know the ins and outs of it. I've heard about BOAs. I saw that funding was granted to a BOA in Soho. So if it happens in Soho, then it can certainly happen here, but I just don't know the ins and outs of it. But I do know that there's dedicated state funding for these so-called brown. I can't even think about it. It's brown something. It's brown areas. It's called like brown areas. It's basically a fancy name for community eyesores. So that's the only thing I can offer.
Wayne,
Wayne.
something about this.
Wayne, you know this, right? About
Oh,
BOA?
no, I mean, is that funding specifically for brown fields, which if it's for a former gas station, or in many cases, old dry cleaning plants, the chemicals have leached in it. But this is just, it used to be, I think, a low-rise building, which was then torn down. It was a one-story building, and then it was torn down and left as a, untended, privately owned lot. But it wasn't, a hazardous, site. So unless this program has guidelines that literally allow you to target sites that are considered to be community eyesores, I don't know if this would qualify as a brownfield.
Thank you for that. I wouldn't know either. I just learned about this. Thank you. It's brownfields. Thank you so much. Also, Akiko, yes. Who also in the chat. A cute cat, by the way. I'm a cat person. So yes, I'm just like in having this conversation, the light bulb went up in terms of an incentive, but I don't know what the stipulations are. Or the qualifications, or what would be considered a brownfield. I just know that it's out there. There's funding, and I've seen dedicated monies allocated to these brownfields. Yes, Daryl.
I had a question unrelated to that. So when that,
All right. Yes, Daryl. Look,
oh, okay.
segue.
Yeah, I had a question for Chris. What is the status of, I'm not sure if it's called like George Washington Bridge Park on Cabrini, south of 181?
On Cabrini, south of
It's like 180, 179.
The green street that's fenced off there?
It's right next to the entrance of the bridge.
Oh, it's, yeah.
And it was
so
a
it's
playground.
Owned by the Port Authority.
That's owned by the Port Authority.
Correct. They
Oh.
own two parcels, one on the south side of the bridge. That is more often open, where all the cyclists tend to gather.
Yeah.
Like before they, or where they used to gather before they cross on the south side. And then that little triangle park on the north side. Correct. It is owned.
Which is a playground.
It's a
Was a
playground,
playground, yeah.
right? And it was, I don't know the whole history but my understanding is that it was, the playground was initiated by somebody who lived in the community, working with the Port Authority,
Mhm.
who owns, essentially all the ramps and the land in between the ramps.
Right.
And yes, and I don't believe I think she's no longer with us, and so there hasn't been.
Because I think
been
it's been
for
closed
some
since
time.
COVID.
Yeah.
And
correct.
then, and never reopened.
Right.
And there's no dog run in the area
Yeah.
between,
Not right there.
what is,
Yeah.
J Hood Wright
Correct.
and Fort
Fort
Tryon.
Tryon,
Yeah,
right.
so there's
Yeah.
nothing in that big stretch.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of dog owners would love
Yeah.
for
that's
something
pretty
to be in that
interesting.
area.
Is that little playground part?
There's like a elephant.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah.
Kids thing,
I'm
you
gonna
know.
look
Yeah,
at
but
it.
it's been blocked.
It's been blocked for almost 5 years now.
Correct.
Yeah.
That sucks, like, can't.
Good question. We should see if we can get someone from the
Yeah.
Port Authority to join us.
Yeah, that would be good, maybe the next meeting. And
Okay,
then
oh,
I had one other question unrelated to that. We did pass a resolution. I think next month will be 4 years. It was about renaming certain parks areas for people. In the last administration, this was during or leading up to Black History Month or something, I believe. And so they got recommendations from community boards across the city. And we made recommendations, and I don't know if any of them were followed up on. I know specifically we had the Highbridge Rec Center. That I think is moot because they named another rec center after Constance Baker Motley.
Mm-hmm.
There was the lawn south of Highbridge named after Obie. Was that did happen, right?
Luminary, where Luminary's on?
Yeah. Wayne would know, but I think Wayne
155?
near there, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was also a small lawn opposite Roger Morris Park to be named after Larry Neal.
Yes, we've been talking with Avatar about, and he's presented to the Parks Committee, and resolution was passed on creating a dog run, Larry Neal dog run on that site.
Okay,
So-
and is there like a?
We're working on that
specific-
process. with
Okay,
them.
it's just
Yeah,
in process.
they've raised some funds, and then our next step with them is like essentially a pilot run for a year, so.
Okay, so there's no real holdup, it's just
Yeah,
in
it's
process.
in process.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know the other one was, the skate park
Hamilton Skate Park.
should be, what's it called?
It's called Hamilton Skate Park because that's the Alexander Hamilton Bridge, which is 95.
Oh,
It's kind of
okay.
half of it's under the bridge.
Right.
Right.
The resolution was to name it after the artist Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
so.
curious. I'd love to see this. I mean,
Why him?
I mean, I think it was like skating and the type of art that he had, and like kind of the assignment was related to Black History Month.
he was also half Puerto Rican.
Even better, right?
Exactly, yeah.
I will go like to maybe find another person that could embody the skating aspects. I do see the art part of it, but I don't see too much like.
We're not gonna get into a back and forth.
No,
now.
I don't want to. I don't
Yeah,
want to.
and we're
but-
not here to discuss potentials or,
Because we already passed that resolution.
Yeah, let's get an answer to this resolution, okay, so that we can move on to our presentation.
And I can forward you the
Yeah,
link to,
yeah,
it's on the website, yeah.
I want to see that resolution at some point.
Any other questions for Chris? Okay, that is fantastic. So now we're going to, I didn't see anybody else giving me a kind nudge reminder for programming. So with that said, I'm going to now go into the public art installations at the Peninsula in Inwood Hill by Hangil Han. I hope I said that name correctly, Director of the Korean Art Forum. So we're going to welcome this presentation. I think you have the ability to share your screen. You have, let's see, you have 10 minutes for this presentation.
And we've been joined by Miles. Hi, Miles.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. Can you share? How can do I share now here?
You do have sharing abilities on Zoom.
Okay,
You can
share.
share your screen. There you go.
All right. And then play. All right.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Shared dialogue, shared space. A Korea Art Forum organized the project, and we have 3 artists in this meeting: Akiko Ishikawa, Thomas Gallagher, and Sari Nordman. I'll present their slides, and Akiko artist can share with you their position. All right, I don't have to be there because they are there already here. All right. Next slide. Limited and limited editions. Akiko.
Yeah, so
Can
these
you-
are vinyl banners that are photographs of the interactions I had in Harlem and in
Should I go
Flush.
to next one? I don't know. Hold on. Let me see. How can I move this?
Okay, so the t-shirts are screened with Japanese Japanese translations of English language t-shirts I've seen in the area. So that says King.
All right. Next one.
That says Just Do It, which is one of the most popular English language text scenes I've seen in New York City.
All right.
That says Queen. Also Queen. But Hengila sent you another slide.
The next one is a Lingo Bingo, made by Thomas Gallagher. So Thomas, are you here? Can you talk, Thomas?
He's not there. He's not
Hold
here.
on, maybe he's an attendee. Let me just
Yes, he's in
Thomas
attendee.
Gallagher. Yep, he's here. I will promote him to panelist. Thank you.
Can you also Sari Nordman to put Sari Nordman to panelist?
Oh, yes. Yes. Done.
All right, thank you. Thomas? Thomas, do you hear us? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Hengil, are you going to present this, or do you want me to present it?
He wants us to present it. He suddenly wants us to present it.
No, Hengil to present it.
So Thomas is making this, Thomas will make this 3 vinyl board, which is called Lingo Bingo. And this is like a derivative from bingo game, but then playing with the language. So New York City is known like 800 languages are spoken. So he used, let's look at the in a bigger picture. This is the placement where the panel will go in the park. All right. So you see La Familia, and which is familiar or family. And then the next one, I don't remember. And then this one is Yonde, which is solidarity. And then the different language. I know this language. 이민자들은 이곳에서 환영받습니다. You are welcome, immigrant. We're not gonna push you back. So this is love, Chinese. And this is English. Immigrants are welcome here. And libertad, liberty in Spanish. And then Bangladesh probably. And Chinese again, solidaridad, Spanish, I believe. And then Chinese. So, you know, a lot of languages are here, and then people have to play, guess, and then, you know, get the match. And once you get the 5 red matches, then you win the game. Thomas, am I presenting your idea correctly? Just interrupt me.
These are representational of 3 iterations that happened across the city in 3 different neighborhoods in Flushing. Do you have the other slides, Hengil? So there's Flushing.
No, I didn't put the slide of Flushing.
Okay, that's fine. So this is Flushing. There's one that is specific to Inwood. There's one that is specific to Harlem, and there are 15 languages across the group. And
The next one is Harlem, I
there they
think.
are. Yeah. So this is Inwood. You can see the sort of, this is a kind of overhead map of the neighborhood effectively. So you can see that that's Inwood Hill Park and represented up at the top of the map there. Essentially, the upper right corner is the position of the presentation of this work. And do you have the last slide, Hengel?
Yes, I'm pushing it. I don't know why it doesn't move.
It's okay.
Because he has to click on it because he's clicking on the image. If he presses escape and then go next.
I am
Just click inside of it.
click inside of it.
He's still like in the edit mode.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. Right. So then this is Harlem. And so the green on the side is actually Marcus Garvey Park. This one took place 125th Street during summer streets. And so you have French and Wolof and I believe Arabic and let's see, and Spanish in this one. Spanish is across the 3 mats actually as the majority language in Inwood. And the Inwood mat specifically has, I believe, Spanish, Taino, and Hebrew, and also Lenape within it. And the words are, as Hengel said, immigrant experience related and also shared values across multiple cultures.
All right, thank you, Thomas. So these 2 works, Akiko's work and then Thomas's work is placed here. And then Akiko's work is placed at the Nature Center Garden. All right. Now we go to Sari Nordman. Sari Nordman is using the lamppost in the park, in the Hill Park, and this is approved by DOT. And you see that's the way it will be installed, and then it's called the anxiety flag. And it's about recycling and environmental protection. Oops. And then this is a flag actually. And this is a detail view. And it's cut recycled plastic sheet cut into stripes and very thin stripes, and you tie them together on a rack. It's called the Rye method of the weaving, coming from Finland. Sari, are you there? Can you talk about your work?
I'm here. Yes, it's Ria Rugs coming from Finland. I received a NYSCA grant, New York State Council on the Arts grant, and I have developed these tapestries out of recycled plastic film. And during shared dialogue, shared space, and other workshops in the city, I invited people to join me in knotting these tapestries. And I'm exhibiting one of the tapestries, and then there was also some participants were so committed that I shared this mesh, and they took it home, and then they brought it back to next event. So they also made their own little weaves, which will be part of this flag. So it'll be 2-sided.
All right. All right. So for now, that's it. And we have a mural project coming up too, which will be next month or in 2 months. I'll present here, about the murals. Okay. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, on the agenda, I have that it's 2 public art installations, and what I'm seeing is that it is 3 public arts installation, correct?
Actually, all of them are 4. 2 are approved by Parks, or 3, and 1 is approved by DOT. So that's why the confusion,
For the flagpole.
Okay.
Different agencies approved.
Got it.
Yeah, I need different agencies to approve the project. So that's why, it's different who you are talking to.
Oh, no, I'm talking to my fellow board members. Yeah. Yeah, this is very interesting. I just wanted to share a little bit of culture. Sally, is it Sally? Sally's art, is it her?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the
SARI.
Oh, sorry. Okay. In the Dominican Republic, we have something called a pelliza, which is very similar to this, where we take scraps of cloth and we weave it and tie it together and don't cut it. So I think this could be a wonderful connection to our Dominican community. They can certainly make that connection, because I remember growing up seeing these things, and they come in the form of rugs. It's basically, we would go to seamstress houses and just collect the scraps of cloth and then weave it into a rug, a throw, a blanket, and that is called a pelliza, Pelliza. So this brings me childhood memories. Thank you for this presentation. Any questions from panelists, guests, fellow committee members?
When will this be held?
What date do we have slated for the installation?
We are aiming at the end of February for installation, so the last week of February, and it'll stay there for 3 months.
Oh, nice, super cool.
Oh, so that's soon now. Now, do we need
Yeah,
to
it's
write a
very soon.
resolution for this or in support of? I mean, they have.
It's already done, no?
It's already done. It's
Yeah.
approved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we need.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for working closely with our city agencies and with parks. Danny, our artist.
No, I thought it was super cool. I was thinking the other one with the bingo stuff, it'd be super cool, and I guess that would be up for the artists if they would have had some kind of installation where they had all those things, those phrases on the ground. If there would have been a way to have something like that.
Yep. Yeah, brother, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, brother, these were actually on the ground. When in the participatory iterations that happened in the neighborhoods, they were 4 up on the ground. So people actually played the game with the red discs and picked the words and played bingo with one another in various languages back and forth, right?
Yeah.
So you could pick which word you wanted to play, and then the other person looked for it in your language on their board, and then they would pick one in their language, and you would look for it in their language on your board. And in that way, you would have this interaction where you learned about one another's cultures.
Yeah, in my head, I would have seen it as almost like a floor installation where it's
yeah,
or something like that.
That's what it was. That's what it was. Now it's hanging, right? Now it's hanging so people can see it when I'm not there.
Nice, super cool. Yeah, I'm excited to get more art in the neighborhood.
Thank you for this. I cannot wait to see it. Any other questions or clarifying? Okay. These are, I have a question though. These are photographs, the t-shirts, yes?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Are they being sold somewhere or?
Well, there's a gallery show up right now and the work is being sold for sure. Yeah.
I see.
Thank you. Hang, if you can just exit. Oh, the name of the Dominican shag rug. One more, please. Pelliza. P as in Peter. E-L-L-I-Z as in zebra. A. And Danny just Googled it. He wanted to. Thank you so very much. With that said, yeah.
Barbara and Krista just walked in, right?
No. They've been there. Oh, Barbara. Barbara, say hi, Barbara.
Hi, I'm sorry. I had computer and internet issues. I've been trying to get on forever. I'm sorry.
No, Krista has
I'm
been.
late.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Isn't it with her now we got an actual quorum, right?
Okay. No, we don't have quorum because 2 people are online. Okay,
Thank
so.
Thank you. I said thank you. Thank you for giving us opportunity.
Thank you
to
so
present.
much.
Thank you.
Let me do this, Lisa. Okay, so with no further ado, now we have once again Melissa Kibet, the Executive Director of the Dyckman Farmhouse Museum, with a presentation on the Inwood Sacred Site.
Yes, thank you. So as many of you know, the Dyckman Farmhouse Museum has been working with BRC and their consultant, Miss Peggy King-Yorta, who's here with us tonight, to develop the Inwood Sacred Site that will honor the enslaved peoples who were buried on that site, as well as honoring the use of the land as a Lenape ceremonial site. And so tonight, after many months of planning from the feedback that the community gave to us, Peggy is going to present the final design for the Inwood Sacred Site, and then myself and Kyle Jeremiah will be here to answer any questions you may have for BRC or for Dyckman Farmhouse. So without further ado, Peggy, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you. I'm going to try and transition here to, let's see, let's see. Can everyone see that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So for those of you who may not know, the site is between 211th and 212 in the Inwood area, and that it was a site for enslaved Africans who were buried, and at an earlier who belonged to the Dyckman family, as well as the Nagel family and perhaps some other Dutch families. And from an earlier period, you'll see on the map where it says Indian ceremonial pits, those were much older. I maintain that there's no accident that this burial place was placed adjacent to those ceremonial pits, because African burial traditions often were tied to water, the sea, white shells, that kind of thing. So the site we were working with is here, which was an auto repair site. This is before any of the work began. We had a pouring of libation ceremony before any test pits and before breaking ground. I'm just going to go through very quickly. These were, some of you may know that we had an advisory group that was put together after a series of listening sessions, public listening sessions with the community and the descendant community. These are just highlights from the visioning portal that we provided for members of the committee or the group, the advisory group, to share their ideas and their vision, recommendations, dedicated sacred space, how they envisioned using the space, must have permanence, indoor and outdoor space, garden, institutional collaboration, of course, with the Dyckman Farmhouse Museum, tied to that museum's history as well. Oral and written histories, the whole community engagement, how that was envisioned, and these were recommendations. Design, monument, and art. What I'm going to just go through with a couple of other pictures are some, this is AI generated, by the way. With the design team, which is comprised of Elizabeth Kennedy, who is an African-American architect, Joe Baker, who used to head up the Lenape Center downtown, who's an artist, and Mark Gardner, who's also an African-American architect. Elizabeth Kennedy actually was on the team for the National Monument downtown. And I should just sort of say for myself, when I worked for Mayor Dinkins, when I actually was put on loan, I was the director of the national design competitions for our nation's first monument. So I ran those the design competition for the memorial as well as the interpretive center. So I've been working with this team. So as we tried to talk about natural elements that resonated both with the indigenous community and the African community. So when we talk about baskets and sweet watergrass or sweetgrass, these were elements that are tied to both communities. Baskets, the sassafras leaf, which is also significant in the indigenous community and the African community, protection and healing. Again, playing around with sassafras, with sweet watergrass. This is just an image just to give you a sense of the building that is going up on the site. Where you see this cross-hatching, this was when we were looking at playing around with the idea of the sweet grass. But this is really purely, it's developed into something completely different now, but this is so that you have a sense of the building. The front door, it was the dark door to the right, entrance into the space. And of course, there's an exterior space next to the school. So after some time of sort of rehashing, going over a lot of the design ideas, something that is prominent because we had this indoor space and we had this outdoor space, praise houses, which were small, usually wooden structures, commonly for worship by enslaved peoples across the American Southeast. These were structures very simple. Sometimes they didn't have any seating in them, but they were gathering spaces and we saw that as an opportunity for the community visitors to be able to gather in reflection, very much aligned to how the advisory group visioned the space. Place for ceremony. This happens to be a Praise House Museum that's in the Carolinas, where they have community gatherings and ceremonies and drumming. So that was part of the inspiration here. So now I've taken you to the front, and this is the front streetscape, and we're showing the trees, but when I move forward, you're going to see the elevation without the trees so that you can see what actually is happening. When we thought about the street, we thought about the trees and the tree wells and the tree guards as an opportunity for design, an opportunity for plantings by the community, as well as the medallions on the sidewalk, helping to tell the history regarding the Lenape, as well as the site as a burial ground. These two medallions actually are downtown, and this would be consistent with what we have in the historic district downtown in the African Burial Ground Historic District, which is, of course, 5 city blocks.
Mm-hmm.
This is the facade using with the entrance in the front. We don't have signage on here, but the idea is that there would be signage so that people understand exactly what this place is. The design team thought about this use of the sassafras leaf motif, and so this is an abstraction of that along the front. And to the far right, you'll see a window through the wall, an opening through the wall that looks down into the garden space, the reflective garden space. Sassafras is a symbol of healing and protection. The sassafras leaf is also used at the Lenape Center. It is the motif, or the signature motif for the Lenape Center downtown. As well, for those of you who prepare gumbo, which I do every year, sassafras, leaf, if you crush it, it is used for thickening gumbo, which is part of this African tradition. This is the floor plan. So at the top, and I don't know, can you see my pointer, or can you see my?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
so This is the entrance. This is 212, do I have that right? So this would be the entrance, and upon the entrance, there is a little area for a member of the Dyckman Farmhouse Museum staff or docent to provide, have someone there to manage who's coming in and who's coming out. And the idea is that you're making your way down the ramp. At the door, actually, when you walk in, you will be able to see, this is an entire glass wall, the exterior garden. What's envisioned is that you are moving from the land or the earthly world down into the spirit world. And at the end of this ramp, there is language, there is a sentiment that's embedded in the wall, both in the Lenape language, the Congolese language, and I'll explain that in another a slide. But these benches are, this is meant to be a small gathering space with a cosmogram, an abstraction of a cosmogram at the center of the floor. Again, another motif that is, or symbol that is used at the African burial ground downtown, acknowledge both indigenous people and enslaved African or African presence in New York. And then through
Peggy?
Yes.
Sorry, your time is up, but I'm going to give you just a couple of more minutes to wrap.
Okay, I'm gonna, okay.
Questions and answers, yeah.
Okay, this is the interior, again. The interior. The sentiment. Back towards the door. Mound is, again, reference to the burial mound in the garden. And the exterior again. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for that, everyone. This is, I have to say, this is absolutely stunning. The use of the sassafras leaf, the symbol, and just how it reflects like so beautiful in the rendering. I cannot wait to see it in person. Do we have questions?
Yeah,
Danny.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm trying to remember from previous presentations, where were the remains of the slaves removed to at the turn of the century? Was that fully known?
No, it was not.
Peggy, before you respond, can you get out of the share so that we can see all the...
Oh, yeah. Stop share. Okay. Right.
Okay, Barbara, go ahead. I mean, sorry, Peggy, go ahead.
No, it's not known exactly where all of the remains were taken to, but we are aware of the fact that there are, based upon the article and based upon conversations I've been working with the Museum of Natural History, there are 7 remains that are there, and the intent is that they will be repatriated at the site.
What do you mean repatriated at the site?
Reburied in the burial mound. That's the mound in the garden.
Which garden?
The pictures that I just showed.
That you just showed.
Yeah.
Danny has a question. So, Danny, why don't you ask your question?
The materials that the sassafras is like made out of.
Yeah.
What are you guys thinking about making that out of? Like a kind of like a bronze, or?
I think that's what that's what the architects are considering. They've been talking to a fabricator.
Nice. I do hope that you continue like the whole idea of like incorporating also like the corner and like the guards for the trees, if there's any trees, or if you guys are going to plant a tree out over there, because there is like this like ugly train that's right in front of that building and all that stuff. So, you know,
yeah, we saw it as an opportunity to certainly mark the street in a very respectful and way, with the understanding that, you know, the building is only sitting on a portion of what was the original site. So by adding a tree, you know, a line of trees and an opportunity for the community to plant flowers, I mean, that or whatever they want to plant, so that it really dresses the street, and then also to use markers as a way of helping to designate that area as a historic site.
Nice. I do hope that you guys continue taking like I do hope that you guys continue taking inspiration from the other African burial site that's like down by like the Federal Plaza or something like that.
No, that's, yeah, definitely that. As I said, the burial mounds, again, the Elizabeth Kennedy, who was a landscape architect, was part of the team from the original, from the national one. And so we're repeating the response there for the reburial, the burial mounds that are there. Again, there's a burial mound here.
Nice, super beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, go ahead, Daryl.
Yeah, I just had a couple questions. Related to that, is there a direct relationship with the African burial grounds that are downtown, or?
Well, certainly this burial ground would have been in use at the same time that the burial ground downtown.
I mean,
it would have been way up. I'm sorry.
I mean, management wise, not the history, but the management of the site and your site.
No, the management would not, because that's the National Park Service. That's a federal site.
Okay. And then, what is the time frame of all of this being built and open? And
well, this is, we're just beginning to launch our fundraising for this design. So, I mean, the idea it's envisioned at least by 2026, if not by the end of 2025. But so that everybody understands, the building is being built, but the shell of where the interior space that you saw and the exterior will exist. It will just not be finished or fitted out completely until funding has been raised.
Okay, Joy, so sorry. Joy, yes, hold on, Barbara. Joy has a question. Will something actually be buried in your burial mounds?
Yeah.
Yes.
Seven.
But they're just so that you know, during 1903 and 1904, across the world, what people were most interested in, sadly, was eugenics. So they only collected the skulls.
Danny, then Barbara.
Is there a wall separating the garden from the street, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not like too savvy on reading architectural plans and all that stuff, but I would guess that there is a wall.
Yeah, where you saw all of the sassafras leaves all along the frontage, there's only a window opening, which then will have a secure grill, so that you will be able to look into the garden, but it won't be open for people to go through.
Okay, yeah, because I was thinking about that. I was just like what's gonna stop people from actually like going in there if they don't even know more or less that it exists?
There's a wall.
Yeah.
Barbara, you had a question?
Similar to Danny, similar to other community gardens, will there be something developed so that it will be open to the public at certain hours during the week, or at certain times? That's my first question. My next question is that, to me, it seems a little too passive. For example, when the issues were raised about the Audubon Ballroom, and then what Malcolm X's widow agreed to was that there would also be a museum inside the building, which would better explain and elucidate not only the life of Malcolm X, but the whole issues. There is a building being built. I would really think, why can there not be part of the lobby and an area there which would elucidate that history and story much more clearly, and that there should really be exhibition space allotted in that building which I believe is going to be a homeless men's shelter, correct? That will be allocated for that actual, museum exhibition space that will go with the garden and with the burial site. Otherwise, I think it's just too passive and too decorative, and the vision will be lost. So I think we should put that in. Comment?
Thank you. I think that, agreed, certainly the story needs to be told, and that history is there, but also recognizing that this sacred center is not just by itself. The story is in the context of the Dyckman Farmhouse as well as that. So when you talk about telling that story, it's also the Dyckman Farmhouse is in the process through their conversations, their lectures now. Both of those places are going to be responsible for telling that story and conveying the significance of that place.
But the site is 6 blocks away from the Dyckman Farmhouse. That's why I feel that there should be in the lobby of that building an exhibition space clearly allocated to the history of that site.
Yeah,
so for example, when a school group comes, you don't just walk them by and say, "See this, guys." I mean, there should be a actual sort of study exhibition place in that building allocated. And why not? The building's just going to be built now. Why can't there be 800 or 1,000 square feet allocated for elucidation of the significance of that area? Go for it. Why not? Let's put that in as a resolution, and that building is being built with public funds, and those public funds can be allocated or earmarked that there has to have that proviso in there. Doesn't sound that hard to me. What do you think?
I know, Kyle. I can't respond to that. I'm a consultant, so.
Well, I will start with, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kyle. I'll let you take it. I just wanted to address the part about us being 6 blocks away, and school groups. And so because Dyckman Farmhouse will be managing the space, we will also be managing school groups and everything, and tying those two spaces together. So the way that we envision things at the moment as we're working through how to program is that school tours are going to start at the Farmhouse Museum and will then go over to the burial site. So they will be getting all of that information. But we also anticipate doing programming around both spaces and doing virtual things as well for people to have better access to that information. And Kyle, I'll let you take the building question.
Hi everyone, Kyle Jarnamai again from BRC. And certainly I'm not empowered to unilaterally make any commitments or make any decisions here, but as part of our community engagement efforts, in presenting this design in this space, part of our role here is to take your feedback and go back and consider what we can do so that we're able to incorporate the desires and the wants of members of the community. Just to clarify a few bits, we're on track. The building is actually going to be completed in May, so that's almost wrapped up. Barbara, you also mentioned that it's a men's shelter. Actually, after much consideration and listening to the feedback from the community, it has been decided that it's now going to be a women's shelter. So there's also that piece. And and I want to ask you a question, Barbara, because I just want to clarify what it is you mean exactly. Do you envision like something like maybe like a screen that kind of like explains the history? Like, would that type of thing suffice? Is that what you had in mind?
Well, have you ever seen, for example, the Smithsonian traveling exhibitions, which go around to museums, smaller museums around the world, where they actually have these sort of pop-up exhibitions that
I
go
have
to.
not seen that. No.
Oh, well, why don't you look at those on different themes, whether it's water conservation or different types of themes, and they go to certain smaller museums around the country, and they're able to set up as in different. It's a great modality. I would encourage members of our committee to also look at those, and something like that, which are made of, I wouldn't exactly call easels, but they're exhibition spaces that can be, taken down, and which have both, as you said, have both interactive aspects to them and also not exactly easels, but so forth. But I would see something like the Smithsonian Travel Exhibition would be my modality for it, which can be set up, in like a lobby area, and they're used in these smaller museums around the country. Something like that would be what I would say, and to develop and to be able to allocate area in so that so it's not just for school groups, but for when people walk by on the street, they can walk in and say, "Oh, let me learn. Let me," which would incorporate history of the Lenape, history of African Americans enslaved there living in that area, historic pictures of what the area looked like, and hopefully some specific history and photographs of the actual individuals who were there, who then died there. And if you look at the Smithsonian, they give excellent signage. And again, these things are set up in areas that are even like 600 square feet. So that's what I'm promoting.
So before I call on Kaya, I'm sorry, Kaya, I had my Q&A minimized, so I didn't see your hand. Apologies for that. So what we're saying, actually, let me call on Kaya. Kaya, go.
Hi, thank you, Ms. Jord, for that presentation. I thought it was wonderful. I've actually followed your work for a little bit, so I was really surprised and delighted to see you here. I hope everyone has taken their time to check out the Harlem African Burial Ground around 2nd Avenue. It's currently kind of in a bus terminal transition state, but it's coming along. I think the funds are moving. So I'm very excited that we're going to be having even something similar to that here. And I was very pleased that you mentioned filé powder, actually, and the relationship between the Lenape and other indigenous people to this area and the enslaved Africans that eventually became part of, I suppose, best known in Creole culture. Sassafras is not native to Africa. It's a North American species. So I think it's an amazing example of cultures merging together and the strength and endurance of people to build something in the most unimaginably harsh and traumatic circumstances. So that being said, since this would be kind of both a space of history, learning, memorial, remembrance, but it is also kind of a green space. And I'm wondering, maybe Melissa, this is a question for you, but what are the opportunities to have engagement or events that are based on being outside? I mean, it is a burial space. You will have human remains there, and we want to be as respectful of that as possible. At the same time, this is not an area that has a ton of green space. We like to use it where we can, but obviously it's not, it's not a jungle gym or a playground. So I'm wondering what kind of events, kind of going off of Barbara's point, you are imagining, or if that's really not something, and this is more of a place of reflection.
Well, can I just add something, Melissa? And it's a, you know, and I know that someone said that they couldn't, sometimes they couldn't tell from architectural drawings. It is a very, very intimate space. I mean, there's not very much space outside and there's not very much space inside. So I would just like to remind people that the numbers, you know, maybe you can get 20 people or less in there. I'm not sure. I think that what was envisioned, because while I appreciate telling that story, and it is important to tell the story, we talked about ways in which the story could be told through QR codes from the outside so people understood where it was, what is happening there, because the space is so small, meaning that, you know, it's a very intimate space, that we had to think about. The other thing is that you want to make, I just want people to keep in mind that you want to make a distinction between your interpretive center space and your sacred space. Sacred space is very different. And I also like to try and remind people that memorializing a space, oftentimes there are different ways in which to do that. You can have things that you can read about or through a QR code, but then it's about occupying and creating ceremony. So if you visit the African Burial Ground downtown, you might see just one small sign about what that site is, but what happens in that outdoor space is really about ceremony, pouring libations, laying flowers, reflection, maybe songs, small gatherings. And then they have the interpretive center inside, which you have to go all the way around on Broadway so that you understand what the story and the impact is. And that's how we envisioned the Dyckman House, as well, having that, using that cultural institution as a way of getting people centered on the story, and then being able to really enliven that, because that space becomes a living memorial. So that whether you're doing land acknowledgements or pouring libations or song or some sort of candlelight ceremony there, whether it's inside or outside, that is what that space is. And there may be other kinds of things, but Melissa's team will sort of help figure that out, tap into the descendant community so that they engage in it, as well as the larger community.
Can you remind us again the street parameters around?
211 to 212, or it's actually on the corner of 212th and 10th Avenue.
And 10th Avenue. Thank you for that. And
that's sorry, that's just outside the flood zone, correct?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
We can get back to you with the answer to that question.
Thank you for that, Peggy. I think that at times we get so excited about projects, acknowledgements, and we also have to be realistic in terms of what the space is for, what it serves, and what it's there to do, what it is primary purpose. So thank you so much for that. Any other questions, committee?
No,
General public?
I'm excited to see this thing happen.
I do wonder, Melissa, maybe you can answer this. So on the map, it said, Indian ceremonial pit, which is pretty vague and nebulous. Do we have any other documentation as to what that was used for? Ceremony is kind of almost what you default when you don't know what it really is. I know, for example, in Inwood Hill Park, we have these huge shell middens. They're piles of shells that were eaten. I wouldn't call that a ceremonial place, but it's a connection to Lenape history. Do you have any insight on that? Could that be something we talk about, or?
I do not have any insight other than what we have been able to find on the maps, but it is part of our research and reinterpretive efforts are to look deeper into that to better understand its use.
And I think you're right, just to kind of piggyback on that, they are shell middens. And what you do have to realize as well as we sort of look into that, archaeology during that time for a lot of people, that was not, people did it as a hobby. So whoever wrote that on that map could have just decided that that's what they were going to call it. In conversations that we've had, there were some indigenous folks who said, we don't know what ceremonial pits are. They didn't even know what that was. So, but we do know that they were shell middens, which was a traditional practice of, instead of throwing shells around, you actually created a pit and put shells in. And sometimes they had animal bones as well. And in some ways showing great respect for the things that you nourish your body with, and then putting them into holes and then covering them.
Okay. Thank you. Again, I want to do a quick time check. It is we're at the 2 hour, close to the 2 hour time. Anybody else has a question or a comment? Tracy, thank you so much. Yes.
It's not about this magical presentation. It's about before we move on to the next thing.
Oh. Yes, we can move on to the next thing.
No, I don't want to move on. I was just sort of putting myself in the queue. I didn't want to take away.
Yeah. So with that, I mean, we have old business and new business.
Well, okay. So just in terms of an administrative issue, I just wanted to be clear that according to our bylaws, article, and not other people do not have to do this, but normally when I'm virtual, I send an email prior about why I am attending virtually. I have not done so. So just according to the open meetings policy, under Article 13, you can attend virtually for quorum if you have a reason under bylaws 5.2, which I do. And I just, for our meeting minutes, want it to be known that I'm not attending in person because of caregiving duties. So that is my administrative moment.
Your point of administrative clarity.
Also, now she's considered like on Zoom, right?
Yeah, this is just for everybody. Thank you for that, Tracy. I'm still super confused because I honestly, that's going to be maybe something to discuss among committees and the executive in terms of what constitutes an excused absence, virtual attendance versus an exception, and then when it's quorum. But for the sake of minutes, we will take it into account.
I think that means we officially do have quorum.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So with that said, if we do have quorum, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Is there any old or new business?
Well, is there any old or new business? I don't have any new business and I don't have any old business.
We never even started the quorum, so might as well just end the.
I want to throw something into new business. Sorry, I know we're at the 2 hour moment.
Now we got to open up.
Go ahead. Yes.
Is our friend Chris still there? Hey, Chris. Chris,
yes. He's here.
So I want to just sort of put it on our Parks and Cultural Affairs lens that we were talking about the intersection at 162nd Street where St. Nicholas and Amsterdam intersect. We were initially talking about the private land Casamanitas. Sorry for the mispronunciation. That's privately owned. I want to swing back to the southern section of the intersection where it is nebulous, sort of big sidewalk, where I know that it's sort of like, it's not quite DOT responsible. It's not quite Parks responsible. I want us as a community board begin to sort of put on our thinking caps in terms of long-term planning about whether or not the triangle at the southern part of the intersection should be an enclosed park. McNeil, new business, over and out.
That's pretty interesting. I wonder what.
Noted. Chris, comment or response?
I mean, from what I understand, it's like many of those triangles, like most of them, it is a DOT property. As far as I understand, it's not in our parks inspection program, unlike other DOT properties that we manage and maintain for them. So say, for example, McKenna is a DOT property, but Parks maintains it and manages that property. David Friedman Square, Wambash. Not Wambash.
But Parks does deal, there's like a lot of like, Parks does go there a lot to do a lot of planting, and there's rose bushes there and so forth and so on. I'm just throwing out there that when you look at Carmine Street and 6th Avenue, right when you come out the 4 train downtown, there are 2 enclosed parks just like the same corner at 162nd Street. It took time, and I might have spoken to the community board members down there, but I just want us to begin to sort of think about and to help parks expand.
It needs to be codified. So
we'll talk about codification. All right. No crosstalk, I know.
But Tracy, to your point, we do help out there when we are able to with our very limited resources. So absolutely, we try to be responsive as much as possible to the needs of that space. It deserves more than what we are able to give it or what we are charged with giving it right now. So
Daryl is next. Daryl is next, and it is 8:17.
Okay. I guess this is new business. I was in Fort Tryon Park recently, and I noticed this signage. I don't know what you call it specifically, if it's like maintenance signage, like keep off the, flowers and that sort of thing. That's only in English. Is there a reason for that? Can we have it in Spanish as well?
It's interesting because our consolidated signs typically have 3 languages on them. The default being English, Spanish, and Chinese. The more I'll have to ask and get back to you on that.
Yeah.
Because there are some standard signs that are available in multiple languages. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, the one that was like keep out of planted areas.
Yeah.
And it's like, no dogs,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
It's a good question. I'll ask.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That'd be good. And if you need us to pass a resolution or something,
Yeah.
we can do that.
It's a good question. Yeah.
Right. I usually don't get into the murkiness of languages because then it can bristle some feathers if that one language is not represented.
Well, so just to Daryl's point, so typically the way it works is that the default where there are multiple languages in NYC Park signage, it is the default tends to be
the most spoken ones.
Well, the default citywide is is English, Spanish, Chinese. However, if depending on the demographics of the community, you're correct that our sign shop can choose the top 3 spoken languages in that neighborhood.
But in most of those signs, it was just the one English.
Correct.
So
Currently,
yeah,
just the one. For a lot of those signs, that is true, and I'll look into it. It's a good question.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was just looking at the land that Tracy was talking about, and it's pretty interesting.
Danny? Yeah, good.
Yeah, no, it's just pretty interesting that there's like no address out over there. And if it would have been like really even better to just gate that whole area and all that stuff. Just transferred over from DOT to parks,
You're like, great.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Many of them have been, at least responsibility has been transferred to parks over the years, largely under the Henry Stern era.
Yeah, because isn't that how like Ring Garden was? At one point, Ring Garden was just kind of like dead street. And then after that-
Tracy McNeil Square, yeah. Okay, I am going to call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Let's go, get out.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for your sense of
8:20.
humor, your energy. I try to keep it 2 hours or less. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and the meeting has been adjourned at 8:21 PM. Thank you.
Good job. You know what?